What if you could spot a life-threatening brain injury in under 2 minutes? Not in a hospital, but right there, at the scene of an accident, with a device that fits right in your hand. Well, today we're talking about a homegrown Indian innovation that's making that a reality. Let's get into how this amazing piece of tech actually works.
Okay, let's imagine a scenario that honestly is every parent's worst nightmare. It's the middle of the night, there's been an accident, and your child seems okay, but they have a headache. So what do? Is it nothing, or is it something serious? That uncertainty in those critical moments, that's exactly the problem we're tackling today.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll dig into the silent epidemic of head injuries and the tough spot doctors are in. Then we'll meet the hero of our story, Cerebo, a breakthrough handheld solution. We'll see the clever science that makes it tick, check out the clinical evidence, and then zoom out to see how this one device fits into a much bigger mission for India.
All right, first up, let's get a real handle on the scale of this problem because, it's way bigger than most of us probably think. Traumatic brain injury, or TBI, gets called a silent epidemic for a really good reason. The real danger often isn't what you can see, like a cut or a bruise. No, it's the internal bleeding, the hematoma that can build up without any obvious signs. And in these cases, a delay in diagnosis isn't just a risk. It can be the difference between life and death. And the human cost of this, well, it's just staggering. India has the unfortunate distinction of having the highest rate of head injuries in the world. We're talking more than 100,000 lives lost every single year. That's a huge number, and for every single one of those people, every second truly matters. And that right there is the crux of the issue. We all know about the golden hour, that first critical hour after an injury where medical care can make the biggest difference. Yet in India, over 90% of trauma victims don't get the optimal care they need in that window. That gap is where lives are tragically being lost.
So why does that gap even exist? Well, that brings us right to the heart of the matter, the diagnostic dilemma. It's a fundamental clash between what doctors desperately need in an emergency and what technology has traditionally been able to offer.
Just look at this mismatch. It's practically night and day. On one hand, you've got the gold standard, the CT scan. It's super reliable, no doubt. But it's also stuck in a hospital, it's slow to get going, it's massive, it costs crores of rupees, and it exposes patients to radiation. Now, compare that to what you actually need at an accident site or a small rural clinic, something fast, portable, cheap, and safe. They couldn't be more opposite.
And this is where the story takes a turn. To bridge that massive gap, Indian researchers have developed an incredible homegrown solution. Everybody, meet Cerebo. And here it is. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. It kind of looks like a hairdryer, right? But this little device is actually a highly sophisticated, non-invasive brain scanner. It was developed by a team from the Indian Council of Medical Research, or ICMR, and other top-tier institutions, and it's designed to be the smallest tool of its kind anywhere in the world.
And check this out. It basically ticks every single box from our wish list. It is fast, giving you results in under 2 minutes. It's portable, perfect for ambulances. It uses zero harmful radiation. It's so simple to use that a paramedic can operate it with just a little training. And the price? Around 15 lakh rupees, which is just a tiny fraction of what a multi-crore CT scanner costs. It's a game changer.
So how on earth does a handheld device see inside the human skull? Well, the science behind it is actually really clever and, surprisingly elegant.
It's all based on a technology with a bit of a mouthful of a name, near-infrared spectroscopy, or NIRS. But the core idea is super simple. Basically, blood, specifically the hemoglobin in your blood, absorbs and scatters near-infrared light in a different way than your brain tissue does. So, Cerebo just uses this principle to hunt for unusual pools of blood.
So in practice, it's a really simple 4-step process. First, you just aim the device and it sends a beam of totally harmless light into the head. Second, its sensors measure how that light is bouncing back. Third, and this is the really smart part, machine learning algorithms crunch all that data, looking for the specific signature of a bleed. And finally, you get a simple, color-coded result. No expert needed to interpret some complicated scan.
Okay, this all sounds absolutely fantastic in theory. But the most important question you can ask about any new medical device is pretty simple. Does it actually work in the real world? So, let's take a look at the data.
A study published in the journal Neurology India really put Cerebo to the test. For what they call unilateral hematomas, that's just bleeding on one side of the brain, it had a sensitivity of almost 95%. So what does that mean? It means if a patient did have a bleed, Cerebo was excellent at finding it.
Its specificity, which is the ability to correctly say there's no bleed, was around 76%. For a screening tool, those are really solid numbers. And the researchers themselves make a really crucial point here. Cerebo is not meant to replace the CT scan. Think of it as an adjunct. It's a screening device. Its job is to help doctors triage patients really fast, especially in places where a CT scan is hours away, so they can start treatment early and prevent more damage.
Now, as incredible as this little device is, the story of Cerebo is actually part of something much, much bigger. It's a piece of a larger strategic vision for India's future.
You see, the development of Cerebo is the perfect example of India's national mission in action. The goal here is huge, to transform the country from being one of the world's biggest importers of medical devices into a self-reliant innovator and manufacturer, an Atmanirbhar Bharat for medtech.
And you can see why this mission is so critical. Right now, a jaw-dropping 80% of the medical devices used in India are imported. That makes us vulnerable to supply chain problems and drives up the cost of healthcare. The push for self-reliance is all about flipping that script.
And the government is really building an entire ecosystem to make it happen. You've got things like the ICMR's Special Mission Secretariat, which is designed to champion these homegrown innovations. You have platforms like MedTech Mitra, which is there to basically hold innovators' hands from a spark of an idea all the way to a finished product. And the ambition is massive. Grow this market to $50 billion by 2030.
And this quote from Dr. Rajiv Bal, the head of ICMR, really just brings it all home. He's making a direct appeal, saying this tool can save lives, especially in Tier 3 cities and rural areas, exactly the places that need it most, where advanced diagnostics are just a distant dream.
So that leaves us with this really big, exciting question to think about. Cerebo proves how powerful this kind of point-of-care diagnosis can be for head trauma. But where else could we use this idea? What other medical emergencies could be totally transformed if we put the power of a diagnostic lab right into the hands of a paramedic? The potential here is just getting started.